Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the LUCA MELE show with my very special guest, Peter Townsend.
Pleasure being here. It's
Man,
it's an honor to be here, man.
I'm glad you made it.
Yeah.
I know we were scheduled for next month,
Yes.
but
Early is good. I'm glad we could work it out.
I had a few openings available for today, so I figured let me reach out to the guy that I find super interesting right now.
Yeah.
I know doesn't live too far away from here, and I think your story is very inspirational to me. I was just telling my other guest, everyone I have on this show is someone who inspires me,
Right.
either from early on in life or someone new like yourself. But we actually may have some brief history together.
Yeah.
This may not be our first time meeting
Unknowingly.
together.
Yeah.
What, like 10 years ago, a little less than 10 years
probably
ago?
around there, yeah.
We may have been on the same show with Mercules and Robbie G when I was touring with Mercules
Yeah.
at the time. I don't know what year you were at the London show.
My memory does not serve me well enough to give you the exact
2016,
year.
2017?
Ish.
If it was Robbie G, then
yes.
okay. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So that's amazing that
Yeah.
you have this history of rapping,
Yes. I used to
but
rap.
now you are a pastor.
Yeah, I kind of I went. I like to say I went from a dope dealer to a hope dealer.
Hope dealer to a hope dealer.
Yeah,
That's right.
glory to God. But
I want to know more about this. I need to know. I want to know your before. I want to know the middle and since then.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. So let's bring it back to, I guess, your high school days. As a child.
Well,
where do you want to start?
I'll bring you back to kind of where I would say when I think of my story and I think of my journey in life. Really, I kind of always go back to when I was young. When I think because it's when I remember taking the most trauma or dealing with the most stuff. First in my life, I would say, when I was young, grew up middle class family. Not upper, not lower, pretty good. Father, mother. I had three older siblings, two sisters, one brother. Now, when I was born and growing up, my oldest siblings, who had different mothers, same father, they had moved away. They were older and stuff like that. Bit of a different past with them and my family. So, growing up, I had one older sister, 3 years older than I, and her name is Natasha. My other sister was Annie, and my brother Jana. And I remember kind of struggling in public school a little bit, a lot of bullying. I was bullied a lot through public school, and kind of, as I mentioned earlier, I started getting into trouble because I was troubled inside, and when you're troubled, you get into trouble as a young man, and
that makes sense.
Yeah. So I think it was around 12. My parents divorced.
Okay.
That hurts. That hits, and really made kind of the internal everything inside of my heart and my mind a lot more difficult. And then when I was 13, my eldest sister Annie, she had suffered from depression, I guess, for many years, and just many things brought her to the end of her rope, and she took her life. She hung herself when I was young, so that was a really tough time for me. And at that time, my sister she was now like 16, so she was out in the streets, boyfriends, dropped out of school, couldn't even get a hold of her. So we had to go to my sister's funeral without my other sister. She was in rebellion stage, and that's where I was headed to very quickly. So I got into the rap thing, and I just wanted to mention that because we were doing that, right? I got into the rap specifically, I think, because it was an outlet for me. It was an outlet for expressing some of my inward frustrations and some of my thoughts. And of course, I was listening to the rap culture and the music. Little bandana and a hat, thinking I'm a little Eminem, right? And so, I got into that a little bit, and I really enjoyed that. And then I kind of, early on, I think around grade 7, I started to smoke marijuana, right? I started to smoke pot with I had an older sister. She had older friends. They were doing it. So I started to do it. And got into high school, tried to go with a good group, focus. You're in high school, you're the public school, they try to prep you,
Mhm.
So I tried to hang around with the good kids, quickly fell into the stoner group because the good kids weren't always the nicest kids. So I get into this group and I start skipping, being a young guy in high school, skipping class, hanging out with the buddies. And, we started dabbling, partying, drinking, girls, and all that stuff. So, all of this was kind of creating an identity. I think I was searching for an identity, who I was. And it was, I think, near my mid high school. I dropped out of high school for a bit, got into the trap life, selling drugs, doing drugs, and hanging out with bad people, doing bad things that I shouldn't have been doing.
What kind of drugs?
Crack. I started selling hydromorphine, marijuana, and really a couple other things. Just it was the money, really. Or you see a lot of money as a young man, and it can get you anything you want. Really, yeah, at least that's what it looks like. So I kind of was like plunging myself deep into this life, which I got really lucky because the place got raided. So I got out of that life. I moved in with my older cousin. We started he was a boxer, so we were doing a lot of boxing. And I found that a good outlet too. But when I went back, I moved out from his place in with my father again. And I tried to go back to high school, but really I went to express this tough guy identity that knows how to fight and wants to be seen, wants to feel something. Because growing up, I was bullied. I felt insecure. I was a late bloomer for puberty, so I just wanted to feel special. Or you know, um, basically, what had happened was I started becoming very violent,
Mm.
getting into a lot of fights. I wasn't necessarily looking for fights, but I was, and I thought that
I
made me.
was.
I was. Oh no, I wasn't. I didn't start it. I was
Yes, you
looking to
did.
finish it, something like that. And, that was getting to my head, of course. And I had people coming to my place. I was at the stoner house. Everybody comes from high school, the group, right? Come sit on Pete's couch and hang out. And actually, it was shortly around that time that I met my wife today.
Mm.
And I know she's going to watch this, so I love you, honey. And I met her when I laid eyes on her. I might have probably more of the physical attraction, but I knew I would marry her because my grandfather. That's how what he did. He met my grandmother, and that day he knew he was going to marry her.
Yeah.
They were together till death did them part.
That's
So I
beautiful.
wanted to do that. Although that was not really the moral lifestyle that I had, I knew that I wanted to be moral in that way. I wanted to be a little old school, you might say. So very quickly, I met her, and I said, will you be my Valentine? Roses and chocolate, and asked her mom's permission to ask her out.
Mhm.
Waited for the first kiss, so we have our first kiss story and everything. And I played it by the book. I was also pretty much her first boyfriend. She had never really dated, and so she was this kind of introverted young girl, and I really liked that. I took to her very well, and shortly after that, she had a native family, and so there was a bit of tension, you might say, as there can be in any family.
Yep.
She also grew up in foster care, so she was a little separated from her main family, but still communicated to them. And so, long story short, her mom's boyfriend, and again, I got physical with, it didn't go well. And we weren't on good terms. So they had reached out to me, giving me an opportunity to come assist them in moving. They had got into a family feud. They were moving out of a house into another house. They wanted me to come carry stuff and to make sure things didn't get too crazy. They were native families, so they were, not the most calm. And I say that with all due respect because as my wife is native, but you know how it is. So I went there actually just expecting maybe a little bit of an altercation at most, and for them to get their stuff. And inside the house, where a few people were inside, there were 7 of us. There was a fight between the family members, the mom's boyfriend and an uncle or something that was inside, and he ended up stabbing the man. Stabbed him in the throat multiple times, killed him in cold blood there. And I didn't see this. All I saw was people running out of the house. And so when, lived a lifestyle where if you see people running,
Yeah.
you don't stand around and ask questions. And so I start running too. I find out the next morning, or really I found out that night that he murdered somebody in the house. Like time stops, right? It's like, it's this weird feeling. all night. I woke up to see it's on the news. It's everywhere. A day later, I'm hiding low because I'm freaking out. Talking to a lawyer, he's telling me the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Pause.
Yeah.
You weren't in there when that happened.
No, I didn't see it. And I wasn't in there. Thank God. That's.
Can you explain why you were hiding then, or
Well, I
why
wasn't
you
hiding. I was
felt-
just kind of waiting for them to come outside, or seeing if more were if 'cause that was the plan. Like they were supposed to go in, I guess, get stuff, and then come
Well, why were
out.
you speaking with your lawyer about?
Oh, so I was speaking with my lawyer just because I was working at a vape shop at the time, and the owner of the vape shop actually did like 20 years. He for like I think a manslaughter or something.
Okay.
So I'm talking to him about this, and I'm freaking out. Like who like this guy knows stuff like that. So I'm talking to him about it. He's like, hey, talk to my lawyer. He'll give you the best advice on what to do in this scenario. Because I'm like, do I turn myself in, or like what's going on? And he's telling me, yeah, just wait. I'm going to communicate with the police department, see what's going on. Within hours, I see I'm wanted for first-degree murder. Yeah, 7 of us wanted for first-degree murder.
Instead of the guy that did the stabbing, you and several other people are wanted for first-degree
That's right.
murder.
Often what they'll do, and especially in Canada, is you're guilty before proven innocent, and so they'll kind of get everyone together that they can, charge everybody in a blanket way, which I don't know how they can do that with first degree. That's crazy. It pretty much like set precedent in Canada for all these people to be charged with first degree murder without hardcore evidence. So with that being said, I kind of laid low for the night, and the next day I was going to turn myself in. I met with my mom and my family because it was emotionally intense, right? And I turned myself in because I don't want to seem like I'm guilty or something. So I go in, I'm being interviewed. Detectives looking at me, telling me I'm being charged with first-degree murder, aggravated assault, break and enter. This is what they're telling everybody because this is what they know at least took place at that time. And my lawyer had said, don't say anything. Even if they try to coerce you to say something, it won't help you. I will be your representative. I will speak on behalf of you to the judge. Do not say anything. And, at first you're like, I should just tell them I don't know anything. This is why I went there. I'm just kind of involved because I'm the boyfriend of the daughter type of thing. And I know nothing. And I kind of relayed that. I said, I didn't know anything like this. But my lawyer's telling me not to say anything. They tried to get something out of me. That was it, basically. And I got sent into the jail system at Elgin Middlesex Detention Center in London, Ontario, the same night. It was a Native man who was murdered. And because I was incriminated in this crime, when I was sent into the jail, the guards had set me up and put me on a Native range. It's a range in the jail called, it's 6 right, they call it. And it's the only Native range in the jail, pretty much. So I was set up, obviously.
Yeah.
And I'm in my cell, and I'm kind of trying to sleep it off. I'm not even putting 2 to 2 together that they put me on this range and everything. I'm just kind of just trying to get some sleep. This guy in my cell wakes me up, says my name is being mentioned on the news, on the TV. They watch news in there. That's all you got is a little TV, and you got the whole range watching it. And they're mentioning my name. They got my face up there. And it doesn't say this guy was caught up at wrong place, wrong time. They do this blanket thing. Makes you look like you could be the guy. You could be the murderer. So the guard comes and unlocks my cell. He says, you got to get out here and you got to shower. Okay, so I grab my towel, I step out, and he takes off, leaves the range, and I'm getting pushed now towards the bathroom, where I can see at least around 10 Native men, guys that I was looking at earlier doing chin-ups like nothing. Don't mess with that guy.
Yeah.
And I was a bit of a fighter myself, to be honest. I fought a lot, so but these guys aren't like the average guys I was fighting. So when I am approaching and I'm getting pushed into this bathroom and I see all these people there, they are wrapping up t-shirts in jail, contraband, to do like boxing drills, to warm up, to beat me up. And I see this, and then I get this hard whiplash push at the top of my like the base of my neck, just boom. I get thrown in there, and I just start getting beaten, man.
You got jumped?
They jump me, yeah. They start beating me, just punching me. At first, clench your jaw, kind of put your head down, and I'm yelling, I didn't do it, I didn't do it, I didn't do it, because I know why they're doing this, right? And I'm just screaming out, I didn't do it, please stop, please stop. I'm on the ground. So my memory with this is a little touchy due to the post trauma. I kind of remember it like I'm looking at myself and it's happening. So they started stomping on my ribs and just yelling, break his ribs, break his ribs, break his ribs. Now, many people have been murdered in that jail. They are famous for class action lawsuits. And so I'm freaking out. I'm in this survival mode, and I wake up in the hospital. I wake up in Victoria Hospital. They send me back into the jail a little bit after. I'm sitting in this segregated cell, and the light's on kind of like this, a little brighter because I'm on head watch. I'm concussed. I can't breathe. My face is swollen. It's all the pain, and I'm just so scared, man. And what came to my mind was the Lord's Prayer. Now, I wasn't raised religious. My parents were not Christian or anything like that, more degenerate than anything. But my grandparents were AA sponsors and kind of Christian themselves.
Okay.
So I remember learning the Lord's Prayer, going to the AA meetings. And I remember as a kid, because I watched a lot of horror movies and stuff, feeling comfort in saying that prayer, right? So with that being said, I was repeating the Lord's Prayer, repeating this, not knowing really why. I never really prayed, don't really know why I'm saying it, but I just was. I get a few days later, I get shipped from London to Stratford, Ontario, small town jail, where it was in there that I came to the Lord. It was just a few days in, actually, and I'm looking for a book. I had to go out around the corner in this hallway, and the guard opens this little cabinet. He says, pick a book, hurry up, hurry up. He's rushing me, so I quickly grabbed this small book. Wasn't much of a reader. And I grabbed this book and said, free at last. I wanted to be free. So I saw the word free, and I grabbed it. I go into my cell, and I read this book, and it was this biker's life testimony. So it was Free at Last by Helena Cleland and Sheila Hollins. And it was about how this biker, he's got this crazier, worse life than I'd had, and he's in prison, and he finds Jesus. Okay. Now, I had heard about the Catholic Jesus, what I mean by that, like, you hear Jesus, you see pictures of the cross, you see, churches on a corner, but I didn't understand it, I didn't see Jesus, the hope, God, my Savior. Yeah. And I just knew more than I understood really everything, doctrinally speaking or theologically. I just knew he was my only hope. Yeah. So I wept, and I was broken, and I just flung myself upon him, and I just continued. I started to pray. You get into the jail routine now. Time is passing, weeks, months, my birthday, and you're just dealing with depression. You're falsely accused of first-degree murder. You tell buddy, I'm innocent. He's like, oh, me too. You're like, no, you're guilty. I'm innocent, man. And you look at officers, you tell them their story, and they're like, wow, if this is true, I'm so sorry to hear that. And you're caught up in this. Yeah. And I'm starting to do Bible studies, right, that they have in the jail system. I'm starting to do tons of Bible studies, find these books. I love reading these testimonies. I'm weeping in my cell, just crying, and I just loving this. And yet I'm starting to do little Bible studies. I actually started the Lord's Prayer at the back of the range because they would watch TV at night. And myself and two others who would go into a minister would come in every Sunday, and you could go into the room, and he would pray with you guys and stuff like that. That's how God was revealing his love to me in that situation as well. But we started our own little prayer at the back of the range. It was just a few months later that we had that prayer on top, above the television, and that TV would be muted at the end of the night, and we would gather in a circle, the whole range. We would say the Lord's Prayer. Beautiful. I got to lead them every night in the Lord's Prayer and pray for them. Even the Satanist, even he joined for prayer for his mother. Like, God was moving in there. And I didn't really see this because all I'm saying is, Lord, where's my angel? Because, in the story where Peter's in prison, Lord sent him an angel to open the prison doors, and he left. And I'm like, where's my angel? I'm Peter. I'm in prison. Right? Like, what's going on? Where's my angel, Lord? But when I met with one of these ministers, I cried to him and I said, why, if God is real, how could he allow this? How could he allow me to be in this? And what am I going, like? And he said, I don't really know what to tell you, Peter, but you told me that you were a fighter. He says, I see you in this ring, and you're getting beat. The depression, the pain, the circumstances. I'm just getting beat and hurt in this corner by the devil, and yet I have Jesus in my corner. He says, I know this may not feel very comforting, but you have Jesus in your corner. And he's going to give you what you need to get back in the fight and win that fight, right? And I remember, it was so difficult because I had just having to go every day, and you don't know what's happening. I'm not talking to my lawyer. Court takes time. It's a murder charge. It takes years, right? Things happen months. Whereas if it's a smaller charge, a couple months, couple weeks maybe. This is like, oh, see you in a year, half a year, trials in like multiple years.
That's a lot to mentally deal with.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah. And, I just was growing there. I got shipped shortly after. I got shipped to Hamilton here in Barton Street Jail, and that was pretty scary going from a small town jail. Nice little food, great food in Stratford. And then now I'm going into Barton Street. It was intense, and I was put on a dorm for a bit, and then I was moved to a range, and now I'm dealing with all that stuff, jail politics, and time's passing, man, and lots of stuff in between, but really the oppression and the depression was just growing worse and worse and worse. There was no hope. Of course, like Christ was my hope, but like I couldn't see hope. Right? I was walking by sight and by my feelings, dealing with fights in there. You got to fight sometimes, drama, all sorts of scary things in the jail system. And so, at about 11 months, I ripped up my sheets and I made a rope to hang myself. And I remember I was going to put my name on a list to see one of these ministers one-on-one. So I put my name down as inmate 1001-284-984. And I'm going to go tell this guy my life, and then I'm going to end my life. So they call me, and I go into this room, and I just know that I can't do it anymore. And I walk into the room, and this guy, he's just sitting there, this older guy, and he's got his Bible open. And he's got his Bible open to the book of Peter. So I can see my name right there. And there's only 2 pages. It's right, 1 page, and then 2 pages later, it's right there. And that says Peter in big letters right there, right? And so I just knew that was like, for me, that was what I would call like a spiritual kiss. God giving me what I needed to continue, right? Because he was in my corner. And I connected with this guy. His name was Art. And he became like a spiritual father to me for a long time. We're still like best friends. And it was just a couple months after that, right? So I got in the fight. Okay, I'm going to keep going. A couple months later, I go to my preliminary hearing. And I remember sitting there because I had appeared in court a few times beside my co-accused. And I'm just crying each time, just wanting to go home, man. You see your family, and you see the family of the grieving family who lost their loved one, and they're looking at me like I'm just like, this is crazy, right? I'd had nothing to do with somebody being murdered, right? And I just said, Lord, I've been praying to you for so long, I feels like for 13 months now, and crying out to you, and if you give me my life, I'll give you mine. It's yours. And he said, out of 1 out of 7 people, the judge looked at me and he said, Mr. Townsend, you are free to go. All charges dropped. And I was fully acquitted in high court judgment. And, I just think of that verse. It says, who the Son sets free is truly free indeed. And I walked out of there a free man with a new life before me. Yeah. So that was my turnaround point, right? And, it was really difficult because everything led to that, right? I was going just downhill. When I look back, I see so many, the violence, the drugs. I got into methamphetamine and stuff. I was involved. I was dabbling in that. I was, with some rich guys smoking. I was doing all these drugs. So I was really just going downhill in so many ways. And I was even doing like Ouija board stuff, messing around with Ouija boards and black magic, voodoo. I was looking up cults, looking up all that stuff. I had the devil's Bible beside my bed with the devil's rituals, right? And it's like a volume 1 and volume 2 thing. So I was into all this stuff and just going downhill, and it led to that. But sometimes God lets us, be turned over to our own choices. We reap what we sow, but he's there. And I didn't see him. I wasn't ready.